Hello and welcome to the year 2020, a year that when I was a kid I thought would never get here. I was a child of the 80s. I was born in 1972. So looking at 2020, the fact that I'm going to be 48 years old, I never thought I would get this far. And 2020 certainly seemed light years away at that point. When I was a kid, we never really thought about having phones that we could kind of carry on the go or that we could play video games like arcade games, for real arcade games on the go, or the graphics and AI and other things that we see in video games today. It was all wizardry. I could never have dreamed it up back in the early and mid 1980s. And now here we are, 2020, and things are kind of crazy. But not on this show. No, on this show, we open old video games. We're doing that again this year. This is the third year of Unsealed. Our first year started in January of 2018. And now it is January 2020. We are in our 126th episode. So we have done this for quite a while. And in honor of the occasion, I have a pair of games to open up. These are the games that came in runner-up in our Twitter poll that I took a few days ago. It did not win. The winning game was Pocket Fighter here. That was in our last episode. But today, we are going to open a Super Nintendo game. I am very excited about this. I'm always excited about opening Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis games because we just got more stuff in there. It wasn't just the game. It was the game, it was the instruction manual, and sometimes there was even more stuff, like a registration card or a poster or a map or things like that. So, we are going to open up from 1995, a game called WWF WrestleMania, the arcade game. And let's see if I remember right here. That is Razor Ramon, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, and The Undertaker crowding the screen here. And this is obviously based on an arcade game from Williams Midway, a game that looks kind of similar to NBA Jam or Mortal Kombat in that it uses digitized characters, and it's closer to Mortal Kombat in the way that it's played. It's more of a fighting game than a wrestling game. It's definitely interesting and very cool to look at, and was unusual for 1995. I remember when I saw this game in arcades, I saw it once, and I passed it over because it just looked too complicated. I did pick it up for the PlayStation not too long after it came out, however, and I liked it. It sounded great. I loved hearing Vince McMahon's over-the-top commentary. The digitized characters certainly looked good on the PlayStation, and it was just a lot of fun to play, even though I never really understood a lot of the movesets. Full disclosure, Mortal Kombat is not my best game. I am more of a Street Fighter guy. We're talking about multiple directions on a controller and memorizing those things, and especially block buttons. I'm terrible at that. But anyway, let's stay on target. Let's take a look at the back of WWF WrestleMania, the arcade game, and there is a lot to take in here. A bunch of pictures, not only of in-game, but also of the wrestlers themselves. Let's see what it says. It says WWF WrestleMania, the arcade game. Yes, it's still WWF at this point, not the World Wildlife Federation. Take WWF wrestling to the extreme with intense action straight from the arcade smash. It's in-your-face mayhem with punishing head-to-head and team matchups and grueling WWE and international title bouts. Pummel your senses with devastating new moves and authentic play-by-play commentary from Vince McMahon. No pain, no game. We have realistic wrestling with reversals, pile drivers, and body slams. Take it to the extreme and beyond with mayhem moves like the Tombstone Slam, shocking hand buzzer, and more. Digitized graphics means wrestlers look real. And we do have Shawn Michaels, Doink the Clown, Razor Ramon, The Undertaker, Lex Luger, and Bret the Hitman Hart. If I remember right, there is a wrestler or two missing in this particular version of the game. Nevertheless, I prefer this one over the Genesis version simply because the sound is a bit cleaner, and that's due, of course, to the Super Nintendo sound chip. So, this is published by Acclaim. Acclaim, of course, was still publishing a lot of Williams Midway stuff at this point before Williams started to just publish it themselves. I think, if I'm right, this was one of the last games of that partnership before Williams took over and started publishing things on their own. All right, let's go ahead and open this up. Unfortunately, when I bought this game at Retro World Expo, there was a little bit of the seal already coming off, so this will be pretty easy to open. So I'm going to try and do this. There we go. All right. And yes, it's upside down. All right, let's open the box. The box is a bit crushed, so I don't know what this is going to be like. I don't know what kind of condition the game is in. Of course, when we take the game out, we do have a bunch of stuff at the bottom, and I'll show you that. First of all, here is the game itself. Oops. There's the game itself, still in plastic. I don't think this uses a battery backup, so we're in good shape there. We have a registration card. We'll get to that in a minute. We have the Super Nintendo Consumer Information Booklet, which everyone just throws away. We have an ad for Nintendo Power. Nintendo Power, man, I was just talking about this the other day. It's a magazine that I still miss to this day. They were giving away the Top Secret Passwords Guide, which has an NES controller on it, so that one is dated for sure. And we open this up a bit further. I love like this whole Atom look of the Super Power Club back at that time. So you get all kinds of cool stuff. Nintendo Power Magazine, Power Certificates, Power Cleaning Service, free cleaning of your Nintendo system at your participating official Nintendo World Class Service Center. So that's pretty neat. F in the chat for Nintendo Power. Very, very much missed. We have the instruction manual, which we'll get back to in a second. There we go. And just like I thought, we have a poster. And this is what I'm talking about. Here's the poster itself. This I'm probably going to hang up. That's what the poster looks like. And if you take a look at the back, there's a list of Super Nintendo games from Acclaim. Frank Thomas Big Hurt Baseball, NBA Jam TE, Revolution X, Justice League, Batman Forever, Judge Dredd, WrestleMania the arcade game, and others. This is cool. I will definitely hang this up at some point. So that's the poster. And that's what I'm talking about. You don't get these in games anymore. Whereas when you spent your $60 or whatever it was for a Super Nintendo game back then. Actually, I think it was closer to $50 at this point because cartridge media was getting a little bit cheaper. Getting extras in here was a big deal, and you just do not see this anymore unless you buy a collector's version or a limited run version where you're paying more money, but you're getting the stuff in there. So you're not getting it as part of the package. You're paying extra for it. All right. So let's take a look at the instruction manual really quick. The instruction manual right here, again with the wrestlers on the front. I believe this is going to be, it's in color. That is something you don't see all that often. We have a color manual here talking about choosing wrestlers, preparing to enter the ring. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, the WWF WrestleMania arcade game. So you have like a little storyline. You have move sets. Here's for Bret the Hitman Hart and Doink the Clown. This is awesome. I have only the cartridge itself, so now I have the complete game, so I have the manual, so I'll be able to play this and maybe play it a bit better than I did last time I played it. And yes, there is advertising on the back, an ad for NFL Quarterback Club 96, which is a pretty gosh darn good football game, by the way, if you like sports games. And one more thing to go over with you. We have the warranty card. This guy right here, unfortunately, Acclaim Entertainment no longer with us. Who purchased this game? Who plays this game the most? That would be me. Why was game purchased for player? Okay. How did you hear about this game? How would you rate the gameplay? How would you rate the graphics? So you could be your own game reviewer without having an internet connection. And back in 95, not very many people did. Which kind of game do you like the most? Action, role-playing, sports simulation, maze, or puzzle? How often do you play coin-op arcade games? Wow, that is a great question, and my answer would be frequently. That was me. I was still spending a lot of time in arcades in 1995. How many times a month do you rent video games? Probably should have rented more games than I bought, but that was just the way it was. Which magazines and comic books do you read on a regular basis? So here's our list. Again, remembering this is 1995. We have GamePro, Marvel Comics, DC Comics, EGM, or Electronic Gaming Monthly, Nintendo Power, Sega Visions, Video Games, Computer Entertainment. That was a great magazine, by the way. Game Players, Die Hard, which I'm assuming is Die Hard Game Fan, Boy's Life, Valiant Comics or other, and you could leave comments here. So, WWF WrestleMania, the arcade game. This is for my buddy Josh, who may or may not be watching. Josh has history at Acclaim, at Midway, I should say, and with this game in particular. Josh, this one's for you. I have a feeling you wanted to see this in the Twitter vote, and I didn't get to it, but I was not going to make you wait very long. All right. Now for the bonus, because we're at the 10-minute mark. I have a bonus game to open up, and this is a PlayStation game from, I believe, 1998. Now, a little bit of history with this. I was not really into wrestling games yet when this game came out. I actually played WCW NWO Revenge first because my friends at FuncoLand, the people that I worked with, got me into that. But after that, when I started to get into wrestling, I had my brief fling with wrestling. This was a game that I thought I had to get and I had a lot of fun with. This is not a black label copy. I'm sorry. Those are crazy expensive and not all that common to find, but it is a green label greatest hits copy of WWF Warzone, also from Acclaim Sports. That is still my favorite wrestler to date, Stone Cold Steve Austin on the cover. And yes, that is the lime green, really annoying greatest hits logo for the PlayStation, but I don't care because a game is a game and it still works and runs the same. And in some instances, the greatest hits version of games fixed some bugs and issues that earlier versions of the game had. So they're not all bad. It's just that green label when you're looking on the side that some collectors kind of freak out about. When we take a look at the back of the case, rock the ring with the fiercest wrestling action ever seen. From GamePro, we have some screenshots here. And I'll read you some of what this says. 4-player action with tag team, tornado, and war modes. Specialized matches including steel cage match. Signature and finishing moves unique to each wrestler. I literally got to learn to read. Over 300 motion capture maneuvers. Create and save up to 30 customized wrestlers. I think this was the first 3D wrestling game that had Create a Wrestler in it. I always used to make this big, fat guy. I don't know why, and I used to just make him as outlandish as possible and give him crazy power moves. That was just kind of the way that I did things. Top wrestlers in the the World Wrestling Federation, including Steve Austin, Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker, Kane, Triple H, and many more. Vince McMahon and Jim Ross bring you the action from ringside, and training mode, practice your moves before stepping into the ring. Just like WrestleMania the arcade game, WWF Warzone is not as simple as grapple and slam, or grapple and drive, or grapple and punch. This is a game where you can punch and kick, but in order to execute some of the more advanced moves like the slams and the power drives and power bombs and things, you need to input key presses in the right combination in order to make it happen. I always struggled with this. When I would play this game, I would just punch and kick my way to victory with the occasional scoop slam or whatever it was that I could figure out on my own. Back in 1998 and into 1999, my getting on the internet was still pretty sporadic, so I didn't have access to movesets. And while there were some movesets in here, there were some I thought that were missing, and I just never really got the handle on the gameplay. But what was interesting about this is that it looked great. The fact that it had full motion video, so it had the actual wrestlers from the broadcast and from the Scored Circle in here. Some of the promos were weak, but what are you going to do? They were scripted, and you can actually see some of the wrestlers reading their lines. It was that bad. Vince McMahon and Jim Ross did a heck of a job with their commentary in this game, sounding very natural, and I believe there was a recent episode of Botchamania, I think, that had some outtakes from Warzone with Vince and JR making some funny stuff or doing some funny stuff. If you don't watch Botchamania, by the way, I highly recommend that series, just saying. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and open this up. I've been excited about this, primarily because the copy I have doesn't have the WWF sticker like this one does. So it's nice to kind of have it complete. So let's go ahead and try and open this up. I worried about this one. There we go. All right. That was not good. That was not good at all. Really got to find my scissors because this is going to get embarrassing before long. There we go. Yes, it does have the WWF Warzone ID sticker at the top. So the disc art's not going to be anything major because it's a greatest hits copy. It's just going to be a silver disc with the game title on it, I believe. Let's toss that over there. Let's take a look. Yep. Just WWF Warzone, and we have an ad for its sequel, WWF Attitude, which is very similar but has more features to it. More divisive game for sure. So let's take that out. And the instruction manual is going to be in black and white. A lot of words, not a lot of screenshots here. Let me hold it up a little bit longer so you can see it. That would be nice. There we go. I want to see if I can get to the move sets here real quick because no, there aren't any. Yeah, there aren't any move sets in here. All there are is just the very basics, talking about game options and how to select wrestlers and the rule book. Everything is in black and white. Again, there aren't very many screenshots. Wow, this is tie-up contention strategy. So this is kind of like algebra here. Let's see here. To avoid the problem of cheesy players always trying the low damage moves, 6 and 9 damage moves always beat the 1 damage move. 5 and 8 damage moves always beat the 2 damage move. 4 and 7 damage moves always beat the 3 damage move. So we have like a rock, paper, scissors system here, which I don't really understand. There are only 3 finishers listed here. British Bulldog from the tie-up position, up, up, tie-up. Ahmed Johnson, left, left, up, plus kick and block. And then Bret Hart's sharpshooter, left, left, up, kick and block. So got to remember those, or you got to have them written down somewhere, or you have to have the strategy guide, which was certainly a big benefit if you had it back when this game was new. Hints and tips. The first one, I kid you not, says, and I quote, "Eat your vegetables. There isn't a man alive who's made it to the WWF without a heaping of greens, except maybe for The Undertaker. He doesn't look too healthy." Thank you very much for wasting my time with that first hint. The last hint says, "Want to know more? Buy the official strategy guide." There you go. I don't know what to tell you. There is a warranty card in here. We're not going to go over that one because it's pretty much the same as the other. It is kind of, it is vertical. It's kind of what it looks like there. Warzone, I just have memories because of when it came out and because it was the first WWF game, like straight up game, not like an arcade game that I had played. And I had a lot of fun with it until SmackDown came out. WWF SmackDown was a completely different story, was a lot more arcade style. You didn't have to know a lot of move sets like in the back of your mind or about a bunch of different key presses. So it was easier to play, and I had a lot of fun with that. But this was my first. This and WCW NWO Revenge were the first wrestling games that I really had fun with on consoles. Matt Mania, of course, in arcades. That was a big wrestling game for me back in the 80s that I used to play back when I was in high school. Way back in the 1980s before we did this whole 2000 thingamajigger. So, it is 2020. I do wish you and yours the happiest, healthiest, and most successful of New Year's ahead. We have plenty of games to open up for you here on Unsealed in the coming year as we move closer and closer to episode 150. We do have a special anniversary show that we'll be doing in February of a game that's going to be celebrating its 25th anniversary, and I'm very excited to open that. Until the next time, my friends, take care of yourselves and each other. Happy New Year, and we'll talk to you again soon.